have a great presentation for you today. This is Lunch and Learn with Google's Ben Tyson. So we want to start out the day by welcoming back Mohawk and the president of Mohawk Flooring, Tom Late.
Here at lunch today at Surfaces 2016, we've partnered with FloorForce, which represents best in class in some of the digital technology platforms to help you as a local partner in the marketing. Google. Not a more transformational company in the globe today than what Google represents, so I can't tell you on behalf of Mohawk Industries how proud we are to be a part of this symposium where we're going to essentially learn from the best in class.
Because we got Google here, and they know more about me than I know about myself. So I grew up in this industry. My father was an executive for 40 years in the floor covering business, and I spent 20 years in sales, 9 of those years at Mohawk. Those were the good old days. We had no cell phones, we had no email, we had no GPS. I had a map. I had a crate full of my customer files with price sheets and order forms. And basically I would drive to 5 to 7 carpet stores a day, and I would wait in line with all the other reps to hopefully get a sample order or a roll order. So back in those days, if you could talk fast, you knew the ounce weight of carpet, you knew how to use a fax machine, you could be pretty successful in this industry as a representative. In 1994, my boss at World Carpets handed me a beeper. And I had no idea at the time, but everything had just changed. Soon my customers got very comfortable with the beeper. And I noticed that 50% of the beeps that I was getting were followed by 911. And I realized my customers' expectations of me had changed. And I decided I was going to do everything in my power to be the first person to respond to the beep. Because I knew if I did, they would never call another rep. So that meant I not only had to talk fast, but I also had to drive fast. So back in those days, I drove a white Chevy Lumina van. I looked like the space shuttle going down the highway full of carpet samples. But that's what it took to satisfy my new customer and their new expectations. Soon after that, I invested in one of those giant black box cell phones. And my customers started to realize, wow, this guy can answer our beeps instantaneously. And guess what I noticed? I was getting more and more beeps, but I was also getting more and more orders. Soon I was breaking sales records, and the other reps at my company were asking me, how are you doing this? And then it dawned on me. They did not see the opportunity that it had dropped in our laps. Beepers and cell phones changed everything. They allowed us to communicate with our customers instantaneously. But most of the reps in the industry did not make that change. In those years, in 2 years, I took my sales from $2 million to $6 million. Just using my cell phone and my beeper, the only thing I changed. Let's fast forward to 2010. A small group of guys and I started an internet marketing company called FloorForce, specifically for this industry. Because we really knew that the independent flooring retailer probably would not have the resources available to build the type of website and do the types of things needed to compete with the box stores in this emerging online world. Let's fast forward again to 2016, and I'm very proud and very, very thankful to say that over 500 retailers and every major manufacturer in this industry believed in what we set out to do. Today we have hundreds of customer success stories, and we are more committed to your success than we've ever been in the history of the company. Here at Surfaces, we're going to launch FloorForce Complete. This is where we complete the circle and how you will communicate with the customer of 2016 and their new expectations placed upon you. In this release, we have more upgrades and more features than every other upgrade and release we've done in the entire existence of our company. I'm going to leave you with one last thought. Making change in your company and with your employees to meet the demands of the new digital online customer, it's not going to be easy, but it's 100% mandatory if you want to succeed in 2016. You cannot continue to do business the way you were doing it and communicate and relate to the new customer who's looking for a whole bunch more from you online than they were 2 years ago. So in 2014, I took the helm at FloorForce, and it dawned on me, we were not a customer-centric company to the customers of 2016, and we were not prepared for the future, in my opinion. So I started reading book after book about changing the culture of our company. And I came across the book, The Virgin Way, written by Sir Richard Branson of Virgin Airlines. And after reading that book, I came to the gut-wrenching conclusion I was going to have to change a large portion of the employees in my company to be able to meet the demands and expectations that I thought we needed to meet to be a better company. I could have stayed the course. We had great people, and we were growing, and I could have just continued to grow at the pace we were at. But I knew we could do better, and we could deliver better for our customers. So I hired a headhunter, and we started hiring people and interviewing people based on passion and desire. At the same time, I sought out a Google Premier partner to help us expand our offering into pay-per-click, which is Search Kings, which was extremely important in us achieving our goals. We went from launching 15 websites a month. In the last 6 months alone, we launched 450 websites. We have delivered 10 million consumers to our dealers' websites. And as of December 15, 2015, FloorForce is now a Google partner. So I can tell you that change was not easy. It was gut-wrenching. But it was 100% mandatory for us to go to the next level. And I can tell you there's good news. You don't have to go this alone. There are companies to help you, and I will tell you this also. If you'll take the initiative, you'll find a partner. There is more opportunity in this industry today for you guys than there's ever been in this industry ever before. So with that, I'd like to introduce Ben Tyson of Google.
What we're going to talk about today is really what we would consider the digital divide and how we can capture today's buyers specifically in the flooring industry. So before we get there, a formal introduction of myself, and I actually have one request from every single person here today, and that's that you just don't judge me based on this photo alone. I have no idea what happened. It's not my high school senior yearbook photo. John always tries to find goofy photos of me and put them in presentations. So I apologize. We're going to have a good time regardless of this. Once again, my name is Ben Tyson. I'm the head of sales enablement at Google, specifically within our channel sales team, like FloorForce as well as Search Kings, who was mentioned. I've been in digital marketing for the last 10 years and started at Google 3 years ago to really focus on the education and sales velocity of our partners, again, like FloorForce and Search Kings. I live in the Bay Area. I have 2 kids with my wife and 1 child on the way. The pause there is for a round of applause for the child on the way. There we go. I know we're eating, but come on, guys, let's go, right? But I want to really start this out with a question. By a show of hands, who here believes that there has been a mental model shift in how your customer is trying to find your business? Raise your hand. Okay, from what I can see is really the first 4 or 5 rows, just about everyone. Here's the challenge, is us as business owners, our mental model has yet to shift to match our customers. How do I know this is true? Well, if we look at one statistic, and that's media consumption. 43.6% of our media consumption time is spent on digital, yet it's only 25% of your overall advertising budget. That tells us that your mental model has yet to shift. Now, I keep using this buzzword, mental model. You might be asking yourself, Ben, what is a mental model? Well, let me give you an example. Anyone familiar with Roger Bannister? Show of hands. Okay, like a handful, 3 or 4, so I have some explaining to do. Roger Bannister was the first human to ever run a sub 4-minute mile. and he did this in 1954. So the mental model that was instilled by physicians, trainers, other runners was that it was impossible. In fact, they believed that if you tried to run at that pace for that extended period of time, that so much blood would pump into your heart that your heart would explode. This was the mental model. Roger Bannister, a physician himself, trained for 2 years, called all of these reporters around a track in Great Britain, and he crossed that mile marker at 3 minutes, 59 seconds, and a little bit of change. So for those of you that know the story, what's fascinating and obviously very unfortunate is that Roger Bannister's heart did actually explode. So what they wanted to find out, come on guys, his heart didn't really explode. So you're like, this is the worst story that anyone has ever told. Come on, I mean, he was totally fine, okay? But what is fascinating is what took place after he accomplished this feat. Within 30 days, there was 30 humans across the globe to run a sub 4-minute mile. Within a year, there's over 100 humans across the globe to run a sub 4-minute mile. So the question is, did the human body change? How much blood the heart could intake increased? Our legs became faster? Were we wearing the first edition of the Reebok pump shoes or something? We were pumping ourselves up? Or is there simply just a mental model shift of what was possible? And of course the answer is there was a mental model shift. So the goal of this session today is for us in the flooring industry to start to shift our mental model to think like a customer. Fair enough? See a couple head nods. Okay. Before we get there, I think it's important to understand that Google has 2 missions. Mission number 1, organize the world's information and make it accessible and useful. Everyone think we've done a pretty good job with that with Google.com, yes? Yeah? Okay, good. But it's also about creating bigger, better, faster access to the internet with things like Google Fiber, which most of you have heard of, but one thing you've likely not heard of is Google Project Loon. Anyone heard of this? Well, what we're doing is we're actually putting, for lack of a better word, hot air balloons into the atmosphere that are a Wi-Fi hotspot to give access to information to people that either for financial reasons or technology, shortage of technology, are able to get that information that we take for granted every single day. With that, we also want to create interesting ways to access the internet. So you guys probably saw in one of Tom's slides, the Google Glass. Everyone heard of that? Who's heard of Google Lens? One person? A couple people? We originally developed Google Lens for diabetes patients, where if you're suffering from diabetes, you no longer have to wear that pack that measures your blood sugar level. You can put in a Google contact lens, and it measures the blood sugar level through the tear ducts in your eyes and pings you a notification when you need to take an insulin shot. Pretty darn cool, right? Well, for us, the obvious next step is to make this a piece of wearable technology. It's in what we call beta stage or pilot stage, and if you came up and talked to me, only a handful of you did, you probably noticed that my right eye is a slightly lighter blue than my left eye. And it's because I'm one of the beta participants and I'm wearing Google Lens. And with the approval of Floor Force, Search Kings, and Mandalay Bay, I'm actually broadcasting this session as it was sold out. And right now, there are 621 people that are watching this session from the contact lens in my eye. The future is limitless. I'm going to turn the lens around. It's a little bit dark. If you guys can wave to everyone watching online. Thank you, guys. Some of you are gullible. That's okay. That doesn't exist yet. We'll get there. I should tell you that the diabetes part is real. Not quite there on the lens part. Mission number 2 is to get all of you guys online. Something that we were highly successful at until about 5 years ago. Well, what happened? That's when your customers' mental model shifted. And they simply became too sophisticated with the types of content that they wanted to engage with that we believe now, because we had to change our platform to make it more sophisticated to match the customers that are using Google, we believe it's impossible for you to go and set up a Google AdWords campaign and run it successfully on your own and get a good return on investment. So what we did is heavily invested in our premier partners like Search Kings, who then partnered with Floor Force so that they can run profitable AdWords campaigns for you guys. What we understand is that they have industry expertise and a specialized sales force to help you navigate the ecosystem and the sophistication that comes with that. So from our perspective, we understand what you want, and we just have a challenge providing it for you. Like human interaction. Has anyone here ever tried to call Google? Okay, a couple of you. I apologize on behalf of Google for your likely very poor experience, but we're not built on communication, we're really built on technology. What our partners also do is they simplify ad products and have available products within the ecosystem outside of just AdWords as well. So what's Google's commitment? Expanded team and operating budget. When I started at Google 3 years ago, I was one person in the entire world that did what I do. To quote probably my hero, Ron Burgundy, I was kind of a big deal, right? But since then, today, we have over 14 individuals around the globe doing what I do. We also had, 3 years ago, about 100 employees around the globe on my team. Now it's over 250. So we're expanding our team and operating budget to make you guys more successful as you participate in the ecosystem. So quick question as we get into the detail. Raise your hand if you've ever actually done a search on Google. Okay, all right, we're in the right place. Well, what's interesting is that 15% of daily searches are brand new. I mean, we've never seen them before. So if we're going to take this room of 500 people or so, maybe not quite there, but we'll take 500 people as an example, and we all wanted new flooring for our house. And we needed to find a retail store to buy flooring from. What's insane to think about is that over 50 of us would type something into Google that Google's never seen typed in when someone's trying to find a flooring retail shop. So we have to participate in the sophistication of our customers in order to win. But one number I want you to walk away with is this, 12.2. This is the number of sources of information that a flooring customer consults before they ever call your business or walk into your shop. 12.2. 2 years ago it was 4.2 in your industry specifically. So in the last 2 years, we've more than or just about tripled the amount of sources of information we're looking at before we ever contact your business. So when we think about this, the main reason why is because of millennials are now becoming the head of households, and we've passed Generation X as the highest number of head of households. And this number will continue to grow as we get to 2018. It'll be over 21 million. So this is the customer today. They understand that they're in control. They understand they have the power to choose, and they value utility. So in order to win today's buyer, we can't simply show up on a desktop anymore. We have to show up across all platforms, desktop, tablets, and mobile devices, and have content that speaks to that individual. For years, the mental model that has been instilled in our brain in regards to how we should market our business looked like this. First, we create a stimulus. And the reason we create a stimulus with some sort of offline advertising is so that we can win the pointed decision at the first moment of truth. So the challenge is that Procter & Gamble associates winning the pointed decision and the 3 to 7 seconds it takes for a customer to notice a product on the aisle of a grocery store. So essentially, I'm going in the grocery store, I see Frosted Flakes, I take a second, I say, Tony the Tiger, he's great, and I buy Frosted Flakes. And then the second moment of truth is me experiencing that product or service. The challenge for you guys today is 78% of consumers, based on a Compete study, that have bought flooring already had an idea of the product that they wanted to buy, whether that was hardwood, carpet, etc., before they actually walked into your store. So we have to do something on the front end because this mental model is not accurate anymore. What we need to consider is first and still create a stimulus. Still important to have stimulus with offline advertising, but what we also need to take into consideration is stimulus comes from life events. For example, I'm having my third child. This brings up a lot of questions. Do I need a bigger house? Do I need a bigger car? At some point in my life, am I going to need to seek psychiatric help? These are all questions running through my brain right now, right? But regardless, the stimulus is going to drive me to the zero moment of truth. Where for your industry, I'm going to consult at least 12.2 sources of information before I decide what I'm going to buy. And the first moment of truth, when I walk into your store, I have an understanding or an idea of what I want. The second moment of truth is me actually experiencing that product and then posting on social media about it, which then becomes the next person's zero moment of truth. So the challenge here is we also need to consider changing how we're actually tracking our marketing efforts. So for years we've been told, just put everything in separate buckets and measure how many leads each marketing channel is generating for your business. So here's my yellow page advertising, here's my television, here's my paid search, here's my display online, here's my remarketing, all in different buckets. And for those of you that don't know what remarketing is, those are those stalker ads, I like to call them. They follow you around after you leave a site, right? So here's the challenge, is we're always measuring last point of conversion. How many leads did this channel provide my business? We need to start measuring the level of influence each channel has, and here's why. A consumer that consults a yellow page ad, right, is 75% more likely to search for your brand. A consumer that sees your television ad is 155% more likely to search for your brand. A consumer that sees your online display ad is 250% more likely to search for your brand. And a consumer that sees your remarketing ad is 1,043% more likely to search for your brand, and your conversion rate increases by 960%. So for us to attribute the value of a customer coming through one of these channels and not measuring influence is not the best way to evaluate our marketing efforts. The main reason that there's been a spike in how many how many sources we're consulting before we make a purchase is because of mobile. Let's take a tour of mobile, right? Let's start in 1987. You guys remember this handsome guy? Remember, this is your wake-up call? Let's go to one of my idols growing up, 89, Zach Morris. I just thought he was a stud, right? He was dating Kelly Kapowski. Like, who didn't want to date Kelly Kapowski? Fast forward to 1998, who had one of these Nokia phones? 2005, we're going to go to the Vatican. Look at the bottom right-hand corner. That's one of those Razor phones. Did anyone have one of those Razor phones? I got it. I thought it was hot stuff the minute I got it. I broke a couple of them. But let's fast forward the Vatican 8 years later. Same picture. And this is what we see. Gone are the days that you go to a concert and there's lighters in the air. It doesn't happen anymore. It's all tablets and smartphones. So about 3 weeks ago, I went to my niece's first dance recital. I was very excited. I walked in a little bit late, and what I saw was shocking. It could have been a case study on human behavior. Every single parent was watching their kid like this, through a tablet. And I was just shocked. And, you know, I get it. 7-year-olds doing their dance recital, you want to capture this. But this one guy was particularly annoying. You know, he had his tablet out and he's going, "Yeah, Jenny, go, woo!" And she wasn't even that good. I mean, she's 7, so we'll cut her a little slack here. And I kind of shoot him a glance, and you can always feel when someone's staring at you, right? So immediately he goes like this and looks at me. And what happens when someone looks at you or finds out you're staring at him? You like do the look down, right? Oh, what time is it? Oh man, my watch is on my other wrist, okay, right? And he just says this, "This is an iPad mini." Okay, thanks. The resolution on this baby is incredible. I was like, "The resolution, sir? If you think that's impressive, the resolution on your daughter in real life is incredible. Just take the tablet down and look. You can see sweat, you can see hair, but this is how we document life." We go through our tablets, smartphones. I would rather lose my wallet than lose my smartphone. That's where I'm at today. We all suffer from nomophobia. This is the fear of being without mobile device power or mobile service area. You guys probably all noticed when you were flying out to Las Vegas that for some weird reason, there was 30 people in a circle kind of pacing back and forth. It's the only power outlet in the whole frickin' airport. And everyone's waiting. You're like, "Man, that guy just, darn it, he's plugged it in. oh man, I have 73% battery left. How am I going to make it through this flight? We all suffer from this. Here's the thing. The phrase of, we go online, I'm going to go online, that doesn't exist anymore. We don't go online, we live online. The goal in marketing is to not win in every single moment. We have to define the micro moments in our customers' brains that are going to want them to buy flooring from us. And we have to penetrate them during these micro moments to ensure that we're winning at their point of decision. Here's the challenge. When we look at consumers, their consumer journey has totally changed. These are 3 key points. We have immediacy of action. We want to act off of those stimulus. Furthermore, if we have high expectations of what your website looks like on a mobile device, on our tablet, or versus our desktop, and the biggie, we make unscripted decisions. We're more loyal to the need in that moment than we are to your brand. So regardless if you have put $1 million into television advertising and you're the only brand that I recognize, if I do a mobile search on my phone and you're not there, I could care less about you, unfortunately, because it really truly is unfair. So when we think about this, search, people conducting searches, is really a high value in the discovery of the flooring business. Every single month, there's 90 million searches on Google for the word flooring. We break it down to a product, hardwood floor, 13 million. And then if we break it down to a brand, Smart Strand, 120,000 monthly searches. So this is skyrocketing in our opinion. You can see the trajectory here of the growth of people using search to find flooring companies. So let's break it down even further. Where is this growth coming from? It's mainly coming from mobile. There's been a 392, if I can get it there, 392% increase in mobile search of consumers searching on their mobile device for a flooring retailer. And the growth in desktop is only 18%. But we have to understand is that these consumers are not just using one device to find your business. Remember, we consult 12.2 source of information before we actually make a purchase. So we're crossing between these devices. Actually, 45% of consumers use 2 different devices before they ever contact your store. So let's dive in and break it down to see what we're actually doing on the smartphone and what is the main reason that we're using our smartphone to find companies like yours. But 73% say it gives them access on the go. And the other one that I wanted to highlight is that it allows them, 48%, almost 50% say it allows me to make a quick decision. Let's think about what you want to happen from your marketing efforts. Likely 3 things. You either want someone to visit your store, make a purchase, or call you. Would everyone agree with that? Those are the 3 things you want to have happen out of your marketing. Well, a consumer that does a mobile search and calls a business, 56% call within 1 hour. 54% make a purchase within 1 hour, and 51% visit the store in 1 hour. So if immediacy of action is what you're looking for, being a part of the mobile landscape for your customer is absolutely crucial. Some other fun statistics, you're not going to be able to read all of these, but what's interesting is that 89% of consumers took action after seeing an ad on a smartphone. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they called, made a purchase, or visited your store. And it breaks down what they're doing, whether that's scheduling an appointment, looking at more information, consulting another advertisement to see if they can get a deal. But 89% of consumers take action after seeing an ad on a smartphone. Very crucial to be there. Although we've gone through all these statistics, you probably have this question. How do you manage this effectively at scale? And how do you do it with someone you trust? How many of you get a call once a day from someone claiming that they work for Google? Yeah? 3 times a day is what I hear. It's very challenging. So what I want to do for you is I want to say, all right, if we're going to understand how to manage this effectively at scale, what do you need to consider in your digital marketing strategy? So I'm going to switch over to the tablet here, and I want to draw out the ecosystem for you so that you can understand kind of what you're up against, what it looks like, and give you some ideas to take into consideration for your marketing efforts. So first and foremost, I'm just going to draw a little circle here in the center, and I apologize if you can't read it, it's okay, I'm just using talking points. This is your business. Hopefully you're happy, I'll give you a little smiley face, right? Raise your hand if you've been in business for at least 15 years. Raise them high. Keep your hand up 20 years, 30 years, 35 years. Okay, a lot of folks have been in business for a long time. If I was to go up to any of these individuals that have been in business for at least 15 years, they would all tell me the same exact thing. They would say, Ben, I wish it was 15 years ago. Because when it came to marketing my business, life was simple. I really only had 3 options within what we would consider to be traditional marketing. I could put an ad in the yellow pages, I could do some TV or radio, or I could do some sort of print, newspaper, billboard, direct mail, flyers, what have you. Out of those that have been in business for 15 or 20 years, how many of you put an ad in the yellow pages 15 or 20 years ago? Raise your hand. Okay, I want you guys to keep me honest. This was the complexity of marketing 15 or 20 years ago. Guy or gal comes out to your place of business one time a year. Says, this is what you did last year? You want to keep it the same? And you said, yeah, just keep it the same. And they said, wait a second. I have to tell you something. We can do color ads now. And you were like, what? This ad in color? Yep. They thought they were hot stuff too, right? And you're like, yes, give me the same ad in color. And they're like, it's a lot more expensive. You're like, I don't even care, I'll pay whatever. So you paid, the book printed, 2 months later, your phone started ringing. Was that about the complexity of marketing 15, 20 years ago? I see a lot of heads nodding, right? Well, there was a shift that was longer than 15 or 20 years ago. It was in 1994. You guys all remember when Al Gore invented the internet. So now, we go out there, and we start saying www. And we start building websites for our business. So it was pretty simplistic in the mid-90s, really. I just had to get a URL, put some content on there, and I was pretty much done. What was the biggest challenge with my website in the mid to late 90s, even as we were approaching early 2000? Anyone have a guess that they want to shout out? Biggest problem. Exactly. No one visited me. How in the world would someone find your website? Yes, there were pre-search engines like Alta Vista, things of that nature, but it was really kind of not a very good user experience in trying to find these websites. And these 2 guys living in a garage, or working out of a garage, I should say, said, hey, what if we were to take all of these websites and index them? And they were successful when they created a company called Backrub. Are you guys familiar with Backrub, or am I going too far back? Too far back? Went through a name change, and it's my employer in Google. So now that Google exists, right? Remember that website you built where nothing really mattered? Every single piece of information matters. Things that might be considered silly. Your URL, how long is it registered for? That matters. Your content, is it fresh content? What about a bunch of different tags that we've never heard of? And I'll just put tags here, but we're looking at title tags, metadata, H1 tags, H2 tags. What about your linking structure? Are they authoritative links, or are they a link farm? If it's a link farm, you might as well throw your website away, get a new URL, and start from scratch. What about your pictures and videos that you have on your website? Do those all have alt tags? Because Google and other search engines cannot actually see images. We can only read content, and if you don't have an alt tag, we have no idea what that picture or video is. These are all fundamental practices, of course, of SEO, search engine optimization. Extremely difficult nut to crack, but that's okay. Because there is an easier way to get on top of a search engine. You can pay for it with what's known as SEM, search engine marketing. Let's build a search engine marketing campaign right now together. Shout out, how many products or services do you guys have? And let's go by product. Let's go hardwood, carpet, not actual brands. How many different products exist? Just shout out. 5? 10? 10's fair enough? Okay. This is how we would set up the most simplistic way a search engine marketing campaign. First and foremost, we get one account. Okay? After we get that account, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to build some campaigns. In our opinion, what we should do is, at a very minimum, at the least, what we should do is we should have about 5 campaigns. So within my 5 campaigns, I'm going to want to include ad groups. And if I want to market every single product I have, which is 10, I would need to create 10 different ad groups. Does that make sense? But it's in 5 campaigns, so that would actually be 50 different ad groups. After I've created my ad groups, I need to put keywords in each one of these. If you go on Google, it's going to tell you that you should probably put somewhere around, at a minimum, 50 keywords in every single ad group. Okay, if that's the case, what we need to do is we need to create a keyword list that is 2,500 keywords long. But we also have to include negative keywords. What do we not want to show up for? If we go on Google, it tells us that somewhere around 5 negative keywords to 10 negative keywords per ad group should be sufficient. So let's go with the easy part and say 5. That would be 250 negative keywords that we would need to come up with from scratch. After we've come up with our keywords, then we need to understand, what is my ad actually going to say? When it shows up on Google, what does it say? We can't use the same ad for every single keyword or every single ad group. If we wanted to use something like dynamic keyword insertion, where the keyword actually showed up in the advertisement, and we don't have any sort of software to help us with this, we would need to create 2,500 different pieces of ad copy from scratch. That doesn't sound like a really good idea. Not a good use of our time. So at a minimum, let's do 2. 2 different pieces of ad text per ad group. So what we need to do is come up with 100 different pieces of ad text. After I do that, where am I going to send these individuals? What landing page? I'm not going to just send them to my home page, because that's a bad user experience. Once I've sent them and figured out my landing page, how am I targeting individuals? What am I using to target? Am I using IP targeting, GPS targeting, geo-modification targeting, broad match targeting, exact match targeting? Once I've figured out my targeting, what am I going to use in regards to ad extensions? Sorry, I'm running out of room here. Ad extensions. Am I going to use call extensions, location extensions, social extensions, shopping extensions, site links, review extensions? Am I going to use dynamic keyword insertion, multiple bid adjustments, multiple keyword insertion, or dynamic bid adjustments? After I've done all this, I'll develop what's known as a quality score, which is not to be construed as page rank, which is for SEO. Those are 2 separate things. And I'm going to work month over month to increase my quality score so that I pay less per click and my return on investment goes up. That would be the easy way to set up an AdWords campaign. Sound fun? Yeah, kind of? Okay? That's only one part of the ecosystem, though. In 2005, we said, man, we really like the content that search engines are providing for us, but we'd like to make up our own mind about the type of content that we're going to engage with. And that's when we saw social media really kind of hit the platform. Oops, sorry. Social. Let's rewind the clock. Let's pretend it's 2005. I don't want anyone in here to lie to me. Where are my MySpacers at? It's all good. There you are. Yeah, MySpace was the stuff back in the day. Not so relevant today. What do we have in existence today, right? We have Facebook. We have Twitter. What else? Pinterest. Absolutely. What else? Instagram. Yes. What else? Snapchat. What else? What else? Thank you. Google Plus, people. John, we got some work to do. Get some people on Google Plus. Essentially, this is your reputation online. You can include Yelp in here. You can include local directory sites. Your reputation online is absolutely key for you to keep track of. With that being said, has anyone here ever read a book on social media? Okay, if you haven't, I can give you the cliff notes and sum it up in one word. The goal of social media marketing is to create engaging content to move someone to an action. Engage, engage, engage. I believe in this as a philosophy for social media marketing. However, if I do, then I need to include display, and remarketing into my social media strategy, because there's not two better forms of marketing or creating engaging content than those two today. This entire ecosystem is multiplied by 2 because of the mobile device, where it's over 50% of all searches that take place on Google come from a mobile device. What's scary is that only 21% of flooring retailers have a mobile-friendly site. What's alarming? 86% of consumers that land on your non-mobile friendly site leave. 67% of those individuals that leave end up going to a competitor's website. Now, regardless of where you are, always remember that 50% of all statistics are made up on the spot. All right, you guys are still paying attention. Those are legit. So we see this at Google and we say, man, the user experience for these individuals landing on non-mobile sites is horrendous. So we now said, as of April 21st, if your website is not mobily optimized, then your page rank, where you show up organically, will decrease, and your quality score will decrease as well. The biggest thing you can do is get a mobile-friendly site today. It's the easiest way to get ahead of your competition and stand out and increase your organic as well as your paid results. At this point, maybe you're not smiling anymore, maybe you have a frowny face, right? But in reality, you can do this yourself. It just takes 4 key things to do it. The first thing it takes, time. How much time do you have? If you go on Google, it's telling you that you should, at a bare minimum, if you're not using any sort of software, you should be investing 10 hours a week into optimizing your AdWords. That's 40 hours a month. That's 1 week per month that you should be investing in one part of the ecosystem. 2, do you even want to do it yourself? Do you have the desire? 3, knowledge. What is your knowledge of each part of the ecosystem? And 4, and likely most important, resources. What resources do you have to put in place to be able to accomplish and win today's customer? By resources, I'm really talking about money. In our opinion at Google, if you want to do this internally, you should, and you can if you want, but you need to hire 5 internal experts. You have to have a web designer, an SEO individual who's completely different than your paid search expert, a social media guru who understands how dynamic remarketing and display are to a social campaign, and a mobile expert who understands the landscape there. That's 5 experts. A conservative estimate at a true expert is probably about $50,000 a year per expert for a base salary. So what you should be doing today is investing $250,000 on internal resources before 1 cent even goes into marketing. The days of, I got a guy that handles this, that's over. The days of my brother's son's best friend's college roommate takes care of this, that's done as well. The days of my office manager, my IT individual, my lone marketing director takes care of this because they're the youngest person that works for us, it's also over. Who here has ever done TurboTax? Anyone? I did it for the first time this year, had a CPA for the last 3 years, called him, I said, Ed, thank you so much, we're going to do it ourselves this year. So I go in, April 13th, maybe I should get started on this. So I start doing my taxes. For those of you who've done it, it says hit submit to find out what your return's gonna be. I'm all excited, call my wife over, hey, let's see what our return's gonna be. Calculates, you owe $16,740. What? Hey Ed, how you doing, buddy? Any way you could do my taxes for me, right? If you think about why this didn't work for me, I didn't have time, desire, the knowledge, or the resources. Everyone knows I could represent myself in the court of law, correct? I heard a laugh out there somewhere. I truly believe that if I was to watch my cousin Vinny 2 or 3 more times, that I have a pretty good understanding of how to handle myself around the courtroom. But no one would ever recommend I do this because I don't have the time, desire, knowledge, or resources. This is what you're up against. Those 4 key things in this ecosystem are absolutely mandatory. So, with that being said, if I can get this out, what is the solution? How do you solve this challenge? In our opinion, for a flooring business, it's not necessarily economical to hire 5 internal experts and pay $250,000 a year. We understand that as a small to medium-sized business. In our opinion, you should outsource your digital marketing, and if you're going to outsource your marketing, you should always work with a Google partner like FloorForce that is powered by a premier partner like SearchKings. With that, I want to say thank you guys so much for your time. I truly appreciate you guys listening to me for an hour or so. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to mix this up just for 1 minute, and we're going to bring up some actual customers that are using the FloorForce platform and are using AdWords with Google. And I'd like to bring up Mark Compston with Mark's Floors, Jody Silver with Flooring Express. So this is Daryl with SearchKings, is our premier partner who handles our paid search. And basically, I had asked these guys to come up on stage because a lot of times you hear guys like us talking, but you wonder what the real life implications are from companies that do this. So I wanted to bring them up and let them just talk and tell you a little bit about, both of them have a unique story. Mark Compston was actually Mohawk's Dealer of the Year in 2015. And Jody is one of our first customers, and he has a unique story about starting out with 2 stores, deciding to consolidate to 1, but doubling his business. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mark. If you could, just talk a little bit about what you thought, what you told me, and what you thought about digital marketing, and then how it's gone for you.
Well, when the web started, I really thought that it would put us out of business. I thought that it was a way for the consumer to get around us and go buy the products, whether it be from the manufacturer direct. So I was very worried that I was soon going to be out of business. As we got more into it, I partnered with FloorForce and Mohawk, and we've gotten on the internet, and we found out that she is using the internet, but believe it or not, she's looking for us. And so that turned out to be pretty cool for me because now I'm there and I'm able to, she still wants to use my business, she just wants to find me on the internet, not in the yellow pages.
I opened up my second store right before the Depression and made it through the whole way and was big in the yellow pages at the time. I actually was spending like $7,000 a month with the yellow pages, and at the time, back in 2006, it was working great. And basically, if I said to you, if you gave me $6,000, if I gave you $6,000 and you gave me back $1.5 million in sales, would you go for that? And of course you would. Then as time went on, it just started getting stale. And a long story short, I ended up consolidating my business, went with FloorForce, spending a quarter of the amount that I was spending with Yellow Pages, and I doubled my business since then.
Thank you guys. As you can see, that's unscripted. I just wanted you to hear from people firsthand that have embraced the change necessary to reach the new consumer. And again, as Ben had said, it is change. It's not just clicks anymore. You know, you cannot gauge your success or your website by clicks, because clicks do not necessarily turn into phone calls, and you don't know what part of the consumer journey she's hitting your website. There's those three parts. The day that she looks at the floor and decides, we got to do something. The day that she's saved up enough money and her husband's going to let her spend it, and she's now picked out product on a website, but now she's looking at reviews on websites to see, hey, who's got the best reviews? Because just because they had a nice picture of a piece of walnut doesn't mean that's who I'm going to buy my floor from. So we're looking at reviews. And then you've got the third part, the day she's going to spend the money, and that's probably the day she's going to go on and start looking for value propositions. Who's got a sale? So your website cannot just be a phone number and a logo and expect today that you're going to convert that customer. Because like Ben said, there's 12.2 places she's going to go, and you don't know what part of the customer journey she's going to be in the day she's at your website. And if you're not there for part one, you probably won't be there for part 2 or 3. So with that, I just want to hand the mic over to Daryl from Search Kings and let him talk quickly about the relationship between FloorForce and what their expertise is.
Yeah, thanks very much, John. Daryl Margot, president of Search Kings. I'm not going to speak for too long, but I will say that what's interesting is when I met Mr. Weller almost a year ago, I'd say now, he told me a story that's really a story that we hear from a lot of SMBs. You know, Search Kings, we work with about 1,000 customers across North America, Canada, and the US. And the story that I got from him was that you had really tried to run the PPC, the pay-per-click side, internally, which really goes back to what Ben was talking about. And FloorForce had been through 7 I guess, pay-per-click experts that you had brought in. And each time you had this hope that, okay, this guy will be the source that sort of solves this component of our business. And after, 3 or 4 months, you realize, well, this guy's not really the expert. And even when you had found somebody who you thought really was the sort of the top level that you had brought in, after sitting down together and sort of analyzing some of the client accounts, we realized, well, the person you have in there, he's good, maybe he's average. Your customers need the highest level of pay-per-click management, and they need true experts in this industry. And that's why we sort of came together and we worked out a system where we could partner with FloorForce, come in and optimize and manage these client accounts, and give them the type of service and results that a premier Google partner would expect. And really, folks, it's really great today to be here. We work with about, I think, 50 of the FloorForce clientele, so we're still, getting ourselves inundated and accustomed to the industry, but we've worked out a lot of the kinks, so to speak, right? When we enter into a new industry, there is a learning curve that we have to go through at Search Kings. Fortunately, these guys already sort of paid for that learning curve, so thank you. But now we are true experts in this ecosystem, and it's a wonderful opportunity for us from Search Kings to be here today. This is our first time at this event, and really, we're here to help you figure this out, and most importantly, figure out how to make money through the AdWords platform, to calculate the ROI that you're actually going to experience, and prove that every dollar that you invest online with Google, are you getting back $1.50, $2, $5, $10, $100? I mean, sky's the limit, and that's really what we're here to help you do.
I just wanted to say, he mentioned one unique thing, here to help you figure this out, right? The challenge is when you can't do nothing, because you will be put out of business, more than likely, versus your competitors that are doing it. And the cost of figuring it out on your own is insurmountable, and it becomes impossible to get a return on investment that Daryl was talking about. So again, this is something that we noticed being a huge challenge 5 years ago, and started working with Search Kings to really help you guys navigate and really figure it out. And that's the key component of really the crux of our relationship, as they have the communication with SMB, Search Kings and FloorForce have the communication with us with any questions, comments, concerns that happen with your particular accounts. So I just wanted to throw that on top.
Okay, everybody, thank you for coming out. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Mohawk. I hope this was informative. I hope you guys had a good time. And we hope to see you at our booth. Have a great day.